Today, I will be using a full team of Pokemon based on characters from the amazing digital Circus. Special thanks to Sammy for the team idea. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a team based on the amazing digital Circus. Figured I would get to this point eventually. Now, the reason I'm doing this team during Pride Month is because there is a gender queer character, Zubul, and that being said, they aren't on this team. I couldn't really fit them on this team, but if I could, then I would absolutely make Zubul a Porygon Z. Just thought I'd mention that. I have this shelter here for Kane. Kane has such an interesting and like unique design to him. And like I really couldn't think of anything except for like Shelter, just because it kind of like has the the upper and the bottom shell with just the eyes that you could visibly see. It's pretty creative. You gotta give you some points for that. So this is a Focus Sash lead Shelter. I had Toxic Spikes on this and Spikes, but the issue was that they had a Poison type in the back, and yeah, they could just absorb the Toxic Spikes if I just set them up. So I was like, I'm just gonna set up my layer of Spike, and I'm gonna try to stall out this electric terrain from this lead Miraidon, which is gonna be a really big problem for this team. They had Miraidon, and they had all of their entire team was just the rest of the future Paradox Pokemon. So I was like, this is gonna be a really rough team to deal with, and the Miraidon ends up being Life Orb as well. So I was like, well, I have this Ogerpon here for Gangle, specifically Wellspring Ogerpon, just because this poor girl, she's never happy. So this is a bulky Ogerpon. This is not an offensive one by any means. This is Spiky Shield, so I can stall out that electric terrain, and I also damage the Miraidon just because its signature move is a contacting move, which is interesting. I have Ivy Cudgel on this, and I have Horn Leech, and I have Synthesis. That Electro just does so much damage to me, even outside of the terrain. I was like, holy smokes, I really couldn't damage this Pokemon otherwise. I just had Ivy Cudgel there to deal with it. Hopefully, I was like, well, I could just go for another Spiky Shield. Hopefully, they can Electro Drift me again. But they end up having a Parabolic Charge on top of that. So I was like, well, that's annoying because that's more recovery for this thing. And I really, really didn't have any like switches to this Pokemon. So there goes my Ogerpon. I was running max defense on that with a special defense increasing nature, which is pretty interesting. You'll get to see more of that in the next battle. So I was like, well, this Pokemon is really steamrolling through my team at the moment. So I'm gonna bring in Jax here for Gengar. This Pokemon was meant to be with the Toxic Spikes. Like it was meant to work in tandem with them. I barely lived the Parabolic Charge. Holy smokes! Thankfully, the electric terrain wasn't up. Otherwise, I would just get folded by that. So I'm gonna land 2 Focus Blasts, thankfully, and I'm gonna be able to take out that Miraidon. But that Miraidon took out like half of my team almost. It was rough. But I did eliminate the electric terrain at the very least. So none of these Paradox Pokemon could get a booster energy. So I was like, well, they swapped in their Iron Valiant. They more than likely have Shadow Sneak. So I was like, go Pomni! You get it? Because Pomni, they sound similar. I'm just going to get Night Slash, and yeah, there goes Pomni. I hope you enjoyed her cameo. So I'll go over more of that like later. So I was like, okay, well, they have Night Slash. Surely they don't have Shadow Sneak. And then they have Shadow Sneak. So I was like, oh my god, I'm getting absolutely destroyed at the moment. This is not looking good at all. So I'm like, okay, well, I should be able to badly live a Night Slash with my Ragatha here for Gothitelle, and I should be able to take it out with the Choice Spec Psychic. I have a Psychic on this, and I have a Thunderbolt, Focus Blast, and Trick on this. So I'm going to go for that Psychic. I do live the critical hit Night Slash, and I'm able to take out the Iron Valiant, thankfully. I was like, okay, well, I'm slow though, and I'm running max health and max special attack on this, so I'm not going to be able to switch on this Iron Treads at all. So yeah, it's gonna have a booster energy and speed as well. So I was like, there's really only one Pokemon. I'm down at this point. I'm down 1-4 at the moment, and there's still 4 Pokemon on full HP. So I need to come back to this battle. I really need to be able to get a win. So let me introduce you to King Gambit. So if you've never seen what King Gambit does, and you're about to learn, and if you have, well, you already know what's coming. So I wanted to try a Terra Dark King Gambit with the Dread Plate so that I could boost its Dark type moves. And with Supreme Overlord, now that I have pretty much all of my Pokemon fainted, I'm gonna get that 1.5 times boost to all of my moves. Sucker Punch just absolutely sends Iron Treads packing. So in comes the Iron Bundle. Now, I was like, well, I have Sucker Punch on this, and I have a Kowtow Cleave and a Low Kick on this set. Now, Iron Bundle, you know, it has a fairly respectable base 114 defense, which is actually a lot higher than I would normally think. And it has booster energy speed, and they're gonna terrestrialize into a water type. So I was like, well, even though this Pokemon has a speed boost, there's no way they're outspeeding my Sucker Punch. So I'm gonna go for that Terra Dark Sucker Punch once again. And man, Iron Bundle just gets destroyed. It gets critical hit. I don't even think that crit mattered at all. So there goes the Iron Bundle. I was like, wow, this King Gambit is going crazy right now. So into Iron Hands, I was worried about this Pokemon. I'm gonna go for the Low Kick here. Low Kick does a lot of damage. It was actually gonna do just as much as a Kowtow Cleave, which is why I went for a Low Kick, because Iron Hands is a very heavy Pokemon. And they went for Belly Drum. I was like, oh my gosh. I think they might have anticipated me to like Sucker Punch again or something. So that's nice. I do have max speed on this King Gambit. And I'm going to be able to outspeed and go for that Kowtow Cleave and take out the Iron Hands. This is going insane. This Pokemon is so stupid. This Pokemon is crazy. So, the last Pokemon is Iron Moth. So I was like, well, I can always just Sucker Punch this Pokemon in the end. And they're going to have another booster energy in a special attack. This was the Pokemon that I couldn't set up Toxic Spikes versus, by the way. So they're going to go for the Protect. I was like, damn, they're stalling my Sucker Punches. But the thing is, like, in my mind, I was thinking, well, I could just go for Sucker Punch. And even if I ran out of PP, I should barely, PP, very funny. I should barely be able to live any move this Pokemon goes for. And I Sucker Punch, check out the Iron Mod. This Pokemon is ridiculous. This Pokemon is so dumb, but it's like a funny kind of dumb. So there's the King Gambit comeback, which, I mean, it wouldn't be any other Pokemon. So into this next battle. This battle was crazy. So I'm going to lead off with my Choice Specs Gothitelle, mainly because I was anticipating the Torkoal to want to lead. So I'm going to go for that Strong Psychic. Man, that does so much damage to the Torkoal. So the Torkoal is going to go for the Yawn. I was like, darn, I kind of have to swap out here because I don't want my Gothitelle being put to sleep. Because if I take out the Torkoal, then they could just have free setup with whatever Pokemon they have in the back. So I was like, wait, this is a perfect opportunity for my Shelter. So I didn't play the Shelter set yet. So this is a Elite Shelter. This is a Focus Sash Shelter. I have Protect, I have Spikes, and I have Toxic Spikes, and I have Bubble Beam on this because, you know, Kane has that co-host, I'll call him, Bubble. So I was like, well, it's in the sun, but I should be able to take this Torkoal out with the Bubble Beam. So I'm gonna go for that Bubble Beam, and Bubble Beam takes out the Torkoal. Holy smokes! Just the first time you probably ever see the Shelter take out a Torkoal with Bubble Beam, or just Bubble Beam being used in like Wi-Fi. So in comes Dragon Ball. I was like, well, I can't hit this with a Bubble Beam, sadly. But I was worried that it was gonna go for Dragon Darts and break my Sash and just outright take me out. But they actually ended up going for Thunderbolt. So I was like, okay, well, damn, I wasn't really expecting that. But I do Sucker Punch the Dragon Ball into Oblivion though, so I'm able to take that out at the very least. I imagine that probably had like Fire Blast to deal with me or something in the sun. You know, it was probably more than likely a fully special Dragon Ball. So in comes the Glamora. Now, Glamora was an issue. I didn't know if it was offensive or not. And I really didn't want to set up free Toxic Spikes, although I did have my Gengar to absorb the Toxic Spikes. So I was like, you know what? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to sacrifice my my Shelter here in case it was like offensive Glamora. So there goes my Shelter, but man, that Bubble Beam was iconic. So I'm gonna swap in back my Ragatha. So I was like, well, I could go for a free Choice Spec Psychic here at the very least. It should be able to completely eviscerate this Glamora, and Glamora swaps out, fearing that. So I was like, okay, well, in comes the Mimikyu. So I was like, okay, well, at the very least, I'm able to break this Pokemon's disguise. That's a good thing. But I'm gonna have to swap out this turn just because, you know, I fear a Shadow Claw coming from this Pokemon. So I was like, well, I'm swapping on my Ragatha here. I went for Gothitelle for Ragatha over like Banette just because like Gothitelle's like hair. Is that hair? What is that? I don't even know what that is on Gothitelle, but its hair kind of matches Ragatha's red hair, right? And the outfit as well, like how she has that dress on. I thought it was a good fit. So Mimikyu's gonna swap out versus my Ogerpon. This is a max defense Ogerpon, if I said that already probably. But I am running Horn Leech on this. Now the Toxic Spikes are going to go up, unfortunately. So I was like, well, if this Pokemon has Sludge Wave or like a Poison move, I don't really want to I don't really want to stay in versus that because I'm more than likely gonna get absolutely destroyed by it. So I'm gonna bring back in my King Gambit here on the Glamora. I wasn't worried about toxic spikes anymore just because of the fact that I had Gengar in the end to absorb them immediately. So I'm gonna go for that Sucker Punch, get my chip off versus this Glamora. The second layer is gonna go up, but I didn't think that King Gambit was gonna be a necessary win con like in the last battle. So I opted to just stay in and on the Earth Power, and I'm gonna get taken out there. But never forget what King Gambit did in that last battle. Kinger was absolutely crazy. King Gambit is such a crazy Pokemon. Next time I run King Gambit, because I ran Swords Dance King Gambit twice, I'm gonna use Choice Specs or something. So I'm gonna absorb that T-Spike with Jax, and I'm gonna go for the Hex. Now, this Gengar was meant to synergize with the Toxic Spikes from Shelter. I had Hex and Venoshock on this, which would both double in base power if the opponent is poisoned. And I have a Focus Blast and Trick on that with Choice Scarf as my item. So Mimikyu's gonna come back in here. I didn't want to stay in on this Pokemon, so I was like, go Pomni! So I chose Palmy for Pomni, not just because of the names, but because of the fact that there's no clown Pokemon in this game. Like, Mr. Mime isn't in this game, or any of its family. Blacephalon isn't in this game as well, so I kind of had to go for Palmy, and like, I just get destroyed. I was like, I really couldn't make Palmy use work. It's like a Route 1 Pokemon. What do you want from me? It had a Choice Band, Wild Charge, Mach Punch, Play Rough, and Baton Pass. I'll tell you this, the most that Pomni ever did, I used Choice Banded Wild Charge versus a Snorlax, and I did like 20% to it, and it took me out with one Body Slam. That was the most Pomni ever did. So I'm gonna go for the Synthesis here, on the Mimikyu going for Swords Dance. I was like, oh, this Pokemon can be pretty rough. So I'm gonna opt to Terrestrialize my Gengar in this game. So, man, Ogerpon has been so fun to use lately. So I'm going to be the big sad now. And I should be able to live whatever this Mimikyu goes for badly. Well, not badly, but I should be able to take whatever it goes for. So it's going to go for that Shadow Claw. Thankfully, it doesn't get a critical hit. And I'm going to go for that Ivy Cudgel here. And Terra Water Ivy Cudgel, even though I'm not running any attack investment, I'm just going to take out that Mimikyu. I don't even know if that crit mattered or not. So there goes the Mimikyu. Now in comes the Cinderace. This was funny. So I haven't revealed Spiky Shield yet, and I didn't know if the Cinderace was gonna go for Gunk Shot or what. And the Cinderace goes for High Jump Kick. I was like, oh my god, that's really nice, because now they're gonna not only take Spiky Shield chip damage, but they're also gonna take they're gonna take the reckless recoil damage from the High Jump Kick. So I was like, well, I don't really have a switch in versus this thing, but they miss High Jump Kick again, and the Cinderace just takes itself out with slowly High Jump Kick reckless damage. That's insane. What the heck? That's so lucky. Oh my gosh, that's just foul. So in comes the final Pokemon, which is Quaxclaw, which I was definitely very threatened by. Now, I went for Ivy Cudgel here instead of Hornlace because I definitely thought that they would Terrestrialize their Quaxclaw at this point, because I know that Quaxclaw, the Terra options that it could run are typically like Steel and Fire. So I thought that I would catch it like using Ivy Cudgel. They Sword Dance on my Spiky Shield. I was like, what? This is all of a sudden this is dangerous at this point. I have to swap out and sacrifice my Ragatha. Now, the good thing was that if this Quaxclaw goes for Aqua Step and raise its speed, I can still outspeed it with my Gengar. But the issue is that I have to land a Focus Blast now versus this thing. And I had no idea what this Terra was. Maybe it was like Terra Water or something. In my mind, I was thinking. So, the Quaxclaw is going to get that speed boost and the attack boost. Now it's +5 in attack. He's pretty much going to take out my entire team at this point. So I was like, oh man, this is scary. I have to land the Focus Blast. I really have to land it. They're going to Terrestrialize their Quaxclaw now. So, I was like, if they Terra Ghost, they win. Like, you deserve to win. But they're Terra Ice. So I was like, please, I need to land this Focus Blast. I need to land it. And Focus Blast hits! Yes! And that's gonna be enough to take out the Quaxclaw easily. Now it's super effective, which is funny. But that's gonna be the end of both games. Thank you all so much for watching. These games were a lot of fun. And I hope you enjoyed them. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.